It's corny to me that people are all about Andrew Tate and that type of like standing up for men, because that ain't it. Like what you did when you spoke about what you spoke about,
right,
is like your anger is directed directly at men who harm women and nobody else.
That's right.
And it has the potential to be deadly.
That's right.
That's where the anger is directed.
That's right.
Everything else is like, and your ultimate respect for women,
Right.
your care for them,
Right.
your like whatever the situation dictates.
Right.
That's manhood. Also your ability to sit with your own regrets
Right.
and your own like need to grow,
Right.
and your
Right.
own emotions and your own,
You know why
like
that's
this is the
important?
full spectrum
You know why
of
that's
manhood.
important for me? And I want to say this on this camera too. We live in a time where the women and children don't feel safe, but rats and traitors and sexual abusers and they all can hide under the fold of Islam off the fact that, oh, we're not supposed to pull anything out. We're supposed to keep them private. So meanwhile, this sister's being beat by her husband. And this sister's being sexually harassed by this teacher who's supposed to be teaching her about the religion. Nah, it's not going down like that. It's not going down like
my
that.
third weekend as a Muslim. So like I went to the masjid. So I read the autobiography and was hearing like the 5%ers and all this stuff in hip hop. And I just, like I said, I was just gonna make my own Islam. So it was like a mixture of all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, you know, there's no God but Allah, and the Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and the white man was created on an island, and the so I was like all this different stuff.
Pulling stuff in.
And my mother was like, there's no way that what you're saying is a world religion. There's no way. Like
Right.
there's no way a billion people believe what you're saying right now.
Right.
And so we lived in North Minneapolis, which is like mostly black neighborhood, and she went by this little house that had a sign in it, and it had a phone number, and she called, and that was Imam Muhammad's son-in-law.
Wow.
And she called and she was like, my son thinks he's a Muslim. He's crazy. He's da 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 da. And the Imam, it was Imam Matthew Ramadan. And he said, bring him to us. So my mom knew. So she drove by one day and she was like, what does that sign say? She didn't tell me that she called.
Just like a mom.
And I was like,
lined you
I was
up.
like, masjid? I didn't even know what masjid was. And she was like, what it was. She was like, are there Muslims in there? And I was like, yeah, I think so. She's like, would you ever want to go there? And I was like, yeah. I thought it was my idea. My mother had been dead 10 years before Imam Ramadan told me that story. It was like, your mother called me and I never knew.
Wow, while she was alive, you never
No.
got.
She drove me by there and then I ended up going.
Bro, that's such a mom move,
Dude.
though. Like, my mom would pull something like
So I became Muslim. I went there one time and I just was there. I think maybe the next week or whatever, I became Muslim. This was like the Sunday Ta'aleem joint. So then the third week, the brothers were hanging out afterwards. And I was like, okay, cool. And so they were like, yeah, brother so-and-so, his sister came to the masjid and said that he hit her. So we're going to go talk to him. And I was like, okay, I'm 15 years old. I'm like, all right, what kind of mission is this? We went to this guy's house, and some of the brothers want some like, Aki, we need to speak with you respectfully about da 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 da. But then there are other guys there that had a different energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like we go to knock on the door, and one of the brothers said on the door, and the other brother said, cop knock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the brother come out, and one of the brothers was like, Assalamu alaikum, Aki. But the other homie like grabbed him and said, we heard you like violence at home, so we came to give you some. And like we're standing at the top of these steps. He lived in like a duplex, and he was upstairs. And so the other brothers like restrained the brother that had the like mega
like him.
energy. Yeah, I know. We had that, and that's why your first video, I'm like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
And so we were like, look, man. The Prophet ﷺ never hit a woman. Like, we don't hit women. Like, that's not what we do. So then the cooler head prevailed and was like, we understand anger. We understand we understand it's not easy. It may be that she spoke to you in a certain way. You've got to learn to control your anger, and there are other ways to deal with this stuff.
That's right.
And so he was offering him all this other stuff. And then the brother that was cool was like, because if you don't, he's going to handle it.
Right. I can't keep him calm. I'm gonna walk away with him today, but tomorrow he might say.
And they did like an anger management thing. And I don't know if the guy ever hit his wife again. I don't know whatever happened after that.
didn't.
But like that was my introduction to what Muslims were.
And men.
You know what I'm saying?
Men.
Yes.
Muslim men of honor.
Yes. And this idea that like this binary that there's like toxic masculinity, or like either masculinity is toxic or I'm the king in my house and I would die for her, so she's got to do all these things for me. And like neither one of those speaks to, you know what I'm saying? Like prophetic, what a prophetic man is.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That like we're you know, we're loving and we're nurturing and
Absolutely.
we're caring, and we look at women as our teachers. We look at women as our partners. We look at women as our daughters. We look at women as their own universe.
I look at my woman as my everything. Like I would be completely lost in this dunya without my woman.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, Imam Ramadan, like I remember one time we were at again, I'm 15 years old. We were all at this like gathering and it was over and we were just kind of sitting around, and he maybe went to make wudu or something, and one of the sisters was like, all right, I'm out, salam alaikum. And we're like, wa alaikum salam. He came back, where's Najla? I said, oh, she left. Okay, who walked her to the car? And I was like, he was like, oh, you're cleaning up after this, you're cleaning up after the event. And then the next time I was there, he taught me how to walk a sister to her car in a way that
Pure honor.
that I'm not hollering at her, I'm not checking her out, I'm not so and so, but it's just letting her know that there's a brother there and letting anybody else know there's a brother here.
And more importantly,
and he told me he was, and he said,
and you walked her.
Yes. Oh yeah. And
I know it.
And he told me specifically, this is how you position your body so you don't try to look at her backside when she sits down in the car. It's not your business. That's not what this is. This isn't you being. This is not a new finesse technique on your part. You know what I'm saying? Like this has nothing to do with you getting points. This has nothing to do with you
leadership, though. Because think about it. You was 15.
Yeah.
You are way older now, and I bet you think of his words.
Never forget it.
Right.
Yeah. I remember 3 times in my life that man. I remember 3 times in my life that man said, "Bro, I'm proud of you, man." I'll never forget that. I'll never forget it.
Man, you break it down.
He said that 3 times to me. In 30 years, but I will never forget that. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, bro.
He was like,
you say so many things that make my brain.
Man, he one time I used to give the khutbah, and when I was like 17, and he was like, "Where all the imams are going to be out of town at this thing," so he's like, "So you're up," and I was like, "Man, thank you for thinking I'm good enough to do this." He's like, "I don't think you are, but I think you could be." But that's up to you.
That's a leader, man. I love him already. I love him.
Yo.
He said, I don't think you are.
He was like, oh, I don't think you are, but I think you could be.
Subhanallah.
And it means something that you're the best one up to bat. This is just by circumstance, but I think you could be that because you are next in line for that.
But
so like you could be.
But that gives you the lesson in that. It humbled you right away.
Yeah.
But it also made you shoot for the stars
Yep.
too. Like, look at the beauty in that statement.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I meant about sitting under the elders. You're a grown man, successful now, and you still going back to those lessons, whether it's walking to the car, whether it's giving a cup, whatever. And then you saying that to your children, your friend, even me. Like, I walk away learning from that. I'll never forget, man. A brother said to me about 3 years ago, we were on FaceTime, and he put me on the phone with his dad, a brother from Sudan, and he said, "Oh, you the big you the top hog." Like, he complimented me, I'm smiling, alhamdulillah. And then he got like serious and he was like, "But are you ready for that?" And at that moment, I didn't understand it. Wallahi, I said, I'm ready, I'm the biggest, I'm the top. And months later, I went through something in real life and it was going on. And I'll never forget, my lady, she was like, well, you supposed to be the top guy. Like, what we gonna do?
Not feeling very toppish.
Not feeling very toppish. And I thought back to the elders saying to me,
"Are you ready for that?
Are you ready for that?" And I wasn't. I was too emotional at the time to be a true leader. Like, I still wanted to like handle things with violence. It's not leadership. It's not leadership is telling a 15-year-old what that brother told you, what Imam told you, Imam Ramadan told you, saying, "Nah, man, I don't think you good enough, but I think you could be." You know what I mean? Like, so it's like just like that truthfulness.
So then when he comes back and he said, "Hey, I'm proud of you, man."
Oh, I know what that meant to you.
It's just like, that's real. That's real.
Like, to hear you say, "Man, I remember the 3 times he told me he was proud."
3.
Subhanallah.